Breaking news. We need to dip back into what's going on Capitol Hill. That is the FBI Director James Comey, who is battling Apple to crack open that iPhone of the terrorist who killed 14 people on December 2nd in San Bernardino. Right now, he is making the so-called key to the door analogy at the moment, saying just give us the key that will only open one single door, one single phone, because Apple's concern is you give them the key to the software, they open it up, and it can be used on anybody. Let us bring in former Texas Congressman Dr. Ron Paul, Liberty Report host as well. Dr. Paul, you have been a stalwart when it comes to sticking up for personal privacy. As you watch this case, I'm extremely interested to know, because we've got a standoff going on right now. Apple wants what it wants, and that's to not open the phone. FBI wants to open the phone. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I think the standoff is between the Constitution and those who would like to use arbitrary authority on the people and violate the Constitution. So I think this is all about it. But you have to think about Comey's reputation. He's the guy that justified torture, and now he's the one on the defense about what the FBI really wants. He says, oh, it's just this one time, and now we find out there are 7 cases, and now we have the FBI admitting that it is a precedent-setting standard that they want. So I think he has lost all credibility, on what he's talking about, and he's lost all credibility that he has any real desire to defend the Constitution, and that's why I think Apple is a much better defender of our liberties than our government at this moment.
Apple wants Congress to decide. You now have the White House in the last hour saying it's going to take a long time. It will not be a quick attempt to create something like this. It involves highly technical discussion, of which I'm sure you'd agree a lot of people in Congress don't have the knowledge of. But do you trust Congress to understand both the minutia technologically and the big, I guess, implications constitutionally?
It's hard to trust anybody, but I think I trust the Congress because there might be somebody there that has a strong belief than I would the FBI. And also, Congress has already spoken to this. They have given the authority to use encryption. Matter of fact, they like it when Apple develops encryption so they can use it. But what they want is a monopoly control of it. They don't want the people to have encryption to protect themselves against the snooping of government. And that's where the real problem is coming in. But the authority is there. But worries me is a little bit what you're alluding to. If it goes back to the Congress to reassess this law, can we depend on the Congress? It's a shame, but we shouldn't even be worrying about that because the Constitution is rather clear about this. That our privacy should be protected.
Let me push back a little bit on something you said. You said that FBI's Comey, the head of the director there, has, quote, lost all credibility. He hasn't with some Americans who feel very strongly that, yes, they love their privacy, but privacy has its limits. I believe even Warren Buffett said that to CNBC just yesterday when asked about this very case, that, you've got terrorists who are willing to do great harm to us. They would chew hydraulic lines to bring down a plane. You and I both know that. Why would he lose credibility for sticking up for at least that part of the conversation?
Well, he will with people who know and understand the Constitution. But, the Constitution is there to protect us, not to be distorted. So I think the whole reason that we have encryption is because the people really wanted it. This came out of Edward Snowden's revelation that the government was illegally. Remember, the government denied they ever were watching us until Edward Snowden proved to them that they were. And that's when Apple got busy and tried to protect the people from the encroachment of government, and since the government was actually the enemy of our privacy.
Well, Doctor, so, I guess the final question is, what's the compromise? What do you foresee happening here?
Well, I don't like the idea of compromising. I don't think you ever have to give up liberty for safety. They said there should be always a balance. No, I think there should always be a bias. If there's any question at all whatsoever, it has to be a bias toward liberty. And right now, I think the bias is away from liberty and the sacrifice of liberty, and people get scared to death. Everybody has to be terrified of what's happening. We happen happen to live in a country now where violent activity is going down. We happen to realize that as far as terrorism goes, there were 10 cases between 2005 and 2015. No, I'm sorry, 14 people killed. So it's a serious problem. But it's not enough to justify just throwing out the Constitution and the issue of privacy, you know, because somebody says, well, we're going to make you safe. Well, the word safety doesn't exist in the Constitution. The Constitution exists to protect our liberties, and we should protect our privacy, so we should have the right of encryption rather than, it's sort of like the gun issue. You know, the guns were there originally to protect us against a tyrannical government. Encryption is there to protect us against a tyrannical government that's going to spy on every single thing that we do, and we shouldn't throw the Constitution out just for this so-called security.
Ron Paul, sticking up for the Constitution. We'll see what happens. There is a lot of fear, and that's why some people would like to see this phone opened. I'm sure you understand that. But, of course, we hear your opinion. Thank you very much for joining us, Congressman Ron Paul. We are going to be right back.